So good evening, good night, everybody. Welcome to our first work session of 2024. So we look forward to a fun meeting on this nice cold weather. All right, so I'll read the quick agenda. Agenda for the work session for Mayor and Council, City of Rainier, Maryland. Virtual work session today, Tuesday, January 16, 2024. I'm going to do a call to order, so please answer if you're here. Jared Stolfus. Jared, are you here?
Oops, sorry, I was on mute. Yep, I am. Sorry.
Thank you, Luke Chesek.
Here.
Veruro.
I'm here.
Danielle.
Here.
All right, we have full quorum. All right, Melly. All right, so we're going to review the agenda. Luke, can you go ahead and proceed to read the agenda as Vice Mayor, please?
Yes, Mayor. This is the agenda of the work session for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Via Zoom. Items for discussion are number 1, call to order. 2, review of the agenda. 3, presentation and discussion of the Varnum Street Business District Real Estate Planning Capstone Project. The University of Maryland School of Architecture, Planning and Preservation, Colvin Institute of Real Estate Development will make a presentation to the Mayor and Council on the Varnum Street Business District Real Estate Planning Capstone. 4, presentation and discussion on building application for 4111 Rainier Avenue, Mount Rainier. We'll receive a presentation from the owner of 4111 Rainier Avenue. 5, presentation and discussion on the Police Advisory Board. 6, presentation and discussion on Public Works second quarter report. Mayor and Council will receive a presentation from Ms. Rosia Latour, Director of Public Works. 7, presentation and discussion on Human Resources second quarter report. We'll receive a presentation from Ms. Cheryl Morris, Director of Human Resources. 8, presentation discussion on Admin Services second quarter report. We'll receive a presentation from Ms. Melissa Sam, Director of Administrative Services. 9, presentation and discussion on A Cat's Life in Mount Rainier. Councilmember Carter will make a presentation to add money to the budget to support the efforts of spaying and neutering feral cats in the city of Mount Rainier. 10, ARPA discussion and update number 34. We'll discuss the status of projects and consideration of ARPA funding for business assistance during construction. Vice Mayor Chesek will discuss ways the city is currently helping businesses during the construction on the 3300 block of Rhode Island Avenue and Perry Street, and will propose ARPA funding for business assistance during construction. 11, presentation of minutes. The city clerk will present the following minutes: December 5th, 2023, public meeting on public safety and legislative meeting. December 19th, 2023, work session. January 2nd, 2024, legislative meeting, and 12, adjournment.
Thank you so much, Luke. There is one item that is going to be pulled out of the agenda, correct? Jared?
Yeah, sorry, I was sorry for the late change. Yeah, I was going to pull the Police Advisory Board item. We'll bring that back at a later council meeting. So my apologies.
You're fine. Go ahead and pull it out, Melissa, okay? Is there any other item that's being pulled out of the agenda? Please let me know now as we're fixing this. Okay. Thank you, Melly. And while we're waiting on this, a big thank you to our Public Works Department that spend the night and day and, working to make sure our streets were free of snow. They are going to be working tonight and tomorrow as well to pre-treat the streets as well to make sure we take care as much as we can of any ice that might be building up as the temperatures are dropping right now to about 24 degrees or something like that right now. Okay, so thank you to that. Also to our police department who works through the nights in the cold weather as well. And I know the team was at work today as well. So thank you guys so much for making sure that the cities are safe and the streets were able to be clear of ice. I did got a couple messages of people leaving the city in the morning when they had to go to work, and they were very happy to know that even as early as 5 a.m. they could leave their homes without being retained by snow. So thank you guys so much for that. All right, perfect. So we have a working agenda. We're gonna start with item number 3, presentation discussion on the Varnum Street Business District Real Estate Planning Capstone Project, the University of Maryland School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation. The Colvin Institute of Real Estate Development will make a presentation to Mayor and Council on Varnum Street Business District Real Estate Planning Capstone. And I do see Ms. Maria K. Day Marshall with us. Hello, Maria. How are you? If you could let us know who else in your team is here, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's so good to be back with you again. We're really excited about this project, and we're anxious to move forward with it. With me tonight are Tanya Bonsall, who is the Assistant Director of the Colvin Institute and the Real Estate Development Program, and Jessica Jones, who will be the mentor for our students who are working on this capstone project. So I'm going to let Tanya take over and have the floor. We have a presentation that we would like to present to you, and then we are available to answer questions afterwards. So Tanya, can we, would you like for us to pull up the presentation? I think you would need to make her co-host.
All right, perfect. Melissa, can you give her screen share capability, please?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Maria. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is staying safe and warm. It was a lot more snow, at least here in Ellicott City, than anyone expected. So a lot of shoveling for us this afternoon. But good evening. We are excited to be here and partnering with Mount Rainier this semester. As Maria said, I am Tanya Bansal. I am the Assistant Director of the Real Estate Development Program. So we'll make a quick presentation here about what, like our background, our objectives. I'm going to share my presentation in this meantime. And, so please, I'm going to quickly go through it. You probably may have seen the PowerPoint. Can everyone see my PowerPoint slides? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Great. And I'll definitely at the end of the presentation, I would like Jessica Jones, who Maria introduced, is going to be the mentor, just introduce herself. But so let me make this in a presentation mode. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Still in the presentation mode here? Are we okay?
Yeah, it's good, Tanya.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we are the Colvin Institute of Real Estate Development. We are housed in the School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation at the University of Maryland, College Park campus. So we're excited to partner with Mount Rainier on Varnum Street Business District Real Estate Development Capstone Project here. So, little bit background here. The city of Mount Rainier is interested in working together with the University of Maryland to study, plan, and develop strategies to enhance the Varnum Street business areas. To further connect it to the county's green street plans on Arundel, create a rejuvenated sense of place for the residents near Varnum Street, and ensure that all business areas in the Mount Rainier are safe, vibrant, walkable, bikeable, and a destination for residents and visitors and more. So just background on our partnership here. I think, University of Maryland Campus Community Connection presented to the City Council in 2022 about its effort to further connect the University of Maryland's campus and the surrounding community. And in 2023, the Campus Community Connection, Andy Fellows connected Ward 2 Council member Valerie Wood with the University of Maryland's Colvin Institute to discuss the collaboration through a Spring 2020 Capstone project. And I was reminded by Maria about a previous collaboration as well, which was that we connected Mount Rainier with the landscape architecture department to do the landscape studio design project around Memorial Park. This proposal was for the public right-of-way and city-owned property located at 3300, 3308, and 3310 Rhode Island Avenue. The public right-of-way on 33 Street between Rhode Island Avenue and Perry Street, and the public right-of-way on Perry Street between 33rd Street and the 34th Street in Mount Rainier, Maryland. This partnership in the past led to funding from Maryland DHCD, and Maria, the program director, advocated for the funding and participated in the tour that involved the Maryland Secretary of Housing, Ken Holt. We also linked Mount Rainier to a faculty member to develop a strategic plan for the city, but unfortunately, I think that project never came to fruition. So with that, we are hoping that with feasibility studies that you will be getting from our students this semester, at the end of this semester in May, hopefully we come up with something that's more that comes to fruition. So with that. So a little bit about the Colvin Institute here. So Colvin Institute, as I said, is based in the School of Architecture. Colvin Institute supports the academic and professional education offered by the real estate programs. So we are basically the outreach arm of the program, and we are committed to applied education, outreach to the community, and collaborative and integrative education across the development disciplines, which includes design, planning, preservation, and real estate development. And we have the institute, the program has used faculty-led student efforts over the years, including projects in all these jurisdictions that you see on the screen. I'm not going to read it each, but it includes Annapolis, Silver Spring, and various counties within the Washington, D.C. metro area. So what is a Capstone project? So our Capstone project is a feasibility project that our students in the Master of Real Estate Development program undertake in their final semester. So these are the students who will be graduating with a Master of Real Estate Development degree after they successfully finish the Capstone project. So our students come, in the master's program from all disciplines. We educate them our program, MRTV program is pretty comprehensive. They learn everything from acquisition, asset management, design, construction management, financial feasibility, all the way to, how to manage your property. We focus on affordable housing, commercial, commercial real estate. So we are pretty, vast in terms of what we do and what our students learn from the program once they graduate. So in their final semester, when they do the capstone, they work on all the a site that's assigned to them. And in this case, it would be the site that we will be talking about in Mount Rainier. And they will be undertaking that site, and they do the context analysis, site design, and financial feasibility of that site. The students can take a look at the site as a whole, or they can do an individual study, which gives us multiple development proposals for that particular site. So what will be our program objectives? So the objective of the study is to engage students and the faculty mentors in the issues and the potential of the site in consideration, and to produce a feasibility report that includes 3 to 4 development proposals. The real estate students will also have design support from architects who work with Capstone students to visualize their projects. So they will be working with these architects. We hire them at the beginning of the semester, and they will be working with the students throughout the semester to visualize their development proposal for the site. So the proposal this semester that we are considering are the sites located at the southern left portion of the Varnum Street, which is the Dollar General Strip Store, approximately 3.99 acre. So from everything from the Eastern Avenue to the Arundel Road. Sorry. So, it is expected that our students will participate in at least one group meeting with interested citizens at the beginning of the semester. Oops, sorry. Interested citizens at the beginning of the semester, and at least one final presentation to Mount Rainier at the end of the semester. Again, we are pretty invested in what our citizens want, what our community wants. So it's really important for us to hear from them. So that's why it would be really beneficial for our students to kind of speak with them one-on-one, not one-on-one, directly with them, so they can get the feedback. And we also have a final. So this capstone, students take it as a course, but it's also a competition where each student is competing with each other, and they present to a jury of professionals at the end of the semester. So the Mount Rainier staff, citizens, and council member are welcome to, will be invited to the Colvin competition, where the projects will be presented in a juried competition sometime in mid-May. And in terms of the deliverables, so the program objective, the institute will also provide deliverables like a feasibility report that will include everything: the site design, context analysis, market feasibility, financial feasibility. We will also provide the poster board. So our students also design a poster board, basically a summary of their project. And you will also get a copy of the PowerPoint slides that they will be presenting to the jury at the end of the semester. And, we understand we are not doing this at no additional cost to the city, but it would be nice if there's any way we can kind of cover the production cost for these materials, if we can get some help from the city on that. So next and final slide here is our timeline, which would be, so mid-January, which we're talking about, is to finalize the contract, begin, and there will be some materials that we will provide and we expect from the city that can help our students, in terms of the information they need, any previous studies or any site site outlines that can be provided. At the end of the January, as said, January 30th, the students will likely meet with the residents to get feedback. And then February, March, April, students will work on their project, and there will be a site visit, and if needed, we'll have additional meetings. And around mid-May, like we said, there will be a final presentation provided to the city, and the city is also invited to the jury presentation to be held at Colvin Institute. So with that, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'm gonna just stop sharing here. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go to Councilmember Woodall, since me and her went to the site visit together with you guys, and then it's gonna be Jared, since it's also in Ward 2. All right, Valerie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Maria and Tanya and Jessica, for being here and explaining this. I think it's going to be a really great project. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of the work, just because I think this is a really important area for Mount Rainier. We are along the East Coast Greenway. There's a historic theater there, and I just think studying this is going to be a really great opportunity for the city and for the students to kind of come together and think through these challenges, this challenging area that can be even better as we go forward. So thank you for presenting. I don't have any questions at this point. I'm just really excited to see you get started and to see what comes out of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Jared?
Yeah, I just want to echo Valerie's thoughts. Varnum Street is a important business corridor. It's not one that gets as much focus as the rest of the city or the city's central business corridor. So I just thank you for your work here and echo Valerie's thoughts. Really excited to see what comes from it.
Thank you. Danielle, Luke?
Yes, thank you. Looks great. I'm excited to see this developed. And what Jared said, this is kind of like a hidden gem, so I can't wait to see what you guys uncover. I do look forward to the meeting at the end of January with the community, and I look forward to the presentation you make. Thank you.
Luke.
First off, Maria, it's so good to see you, albeit on camera. It's been a while. You look great. And that Memorial Park and 3300 block is all under construction. And that project started, I think, I don't know if did we grab something at Bird or did we just talk on the phone? I forget what. But for those of you who don't know, Maria actually grew up in the neighborhood, and she remembers when they raced derby cars down Eastern Avenue, right? Down to where
Yeah.
Eastern and Varnum is. And so, you
Yeah.
know, this is even more full circle to when you were growing up kind of in the neighborhood. So, anyways, I just think that's always so cool. And I think this is a great project. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Valerie, for going to the site visit, and getting this up. Just a few feedback from my perspective. As far as the issues there, obviously the K's own that whole strip there. And so I think a good part of this research project would be reaching out to the ownership group, because they own, the buildings there, they own the parking lot across the street. So being able to partner with them on something, I think, is an important piece of this. It's not maybe a necessary piece, but I think it's something that folks can consider when they look into this. I'm obviously a huge proponent of streetscape improvements, just making that strip look as beautiful as we can make it, especially with the theater there. And with that parking lot across the street, that could be an area of partnership where we could make that parking lot look better, manage stormwater better, and be, really accessible for folks who come in to go to the businesses there on Varnum Street. I know the dialysis place is a lot of business, a lot of foot traffic in there as well. And then I would just talk to Mr. Kamali, our city manager, about what tool design is planning for the for that street there, for the redesign, because we just got $9 million. A big chunk of that, I'm assuming $2 million, is going to go to that Varnum reconstruction from 31st all the way to Eastern. So be mindful of that. And I think if you be mindful of those three pieces, our construction with tool design on Varnum, the K's owning all of this stuff that we want to do things with in the parking lot, I think those are three key components, three issues you want to try to do research on as you go through this project. And just thank you so much for being here and taking this on. And I will stop talking there.
Thank you all.
So I would say definitely echoing Luke's. It's always great to collaborate with you guys, and you guys have a long history. That's the University of Maryland when it comes to our city. And once we have the ribbon cutting for Memorial Park, we definitely would love to have you guys here, as you guys were a component of the work that was done. I think that working with Mr. Kamali and the team to make sure we're able to marry the different ideas between tool design, our economic development department, and also the work you guys do, this is going to be important, because part of the facade improvement for the city, includes several steps to get through the city, right? So we're done step 1, step 2. We're working on step 2, and we're going to be able to do step 3 on 34, the rest of 34. And I have to see, to work with economic development. So I think step 4, 5 might be on Varnum, to see what it looks like also as we work and develop over there. So it's going to be various pieces coming together. That's what's also key and important for us to address it now. So that as we move forward, we're able to connect the various parts of the city that are the business, related, along with Varnum, and then eventually, get to the other side of the city. So in saying that, we'll stay very close in touch, and we look forward to what the students have come out. And it's always great to have a very strong collaboration with them. They help us expand the imagination of what the city could look like. And I'm glad that Luke talked about your connection to the city, because I think that sometimes people think that we just bring outsiders, but the reality is a lot of the outsiders are actually people that have very strong roots to the city. And that's definitely important for us. All right. So thank you guys so much. And let me see if there's any comments on the chat, but if not, I'll let you guys know, because I know you guys need to get working as well.
Yeah, sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead, Tanya.
I just wanted to give our mentor Jessica Jones an opportunity to introduce herself. And
Hi,
Jessica, thanks
Jessica.
for being here.
Hello.
Go ahead, Jessica.
quick 30 seconds. Jessica Jones, really excited to be a mentor this semester. I've been a mentor since 2018, and I also graduated from the program back in 2009. I recently just switched jobs, but before my new job, I used to work at Enterprise Community Development, doing affordable housing development for about 11 years. And now I'm working for Terrapin Development, doing some economic development and development in College Park with the University of Maryland. So really excited about this project. I really love when we can work with the community on new opportunities. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. We look forward to and thank you for being a mentor. You know, that's a very important role as you guide minds through the process, you know, and if you're part of this team, I definitely know we'll be hearing outstanding work from you. All right, perfect. So I see nothing on the chat. So I'll let you guys go so you guys could take a rest, because I definitely know it's been a long day for the University of Maryland today. And the next 2 days are going to be just as fun. All right. So you guys don't have to leave, but you guys are excused if you choose to. Okay. So thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you so much.
Perfect. All right. Moving on to item number 4. Discussion and presentation on building application for 4111 Rainier Avenue. So we have our director of code, Ms. Alma Perfino, with us. Alma, can you give us a brief introduction and introduce our resident that is here for this property? Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager, and residents. Thank you for having us here once more. We are here to actually do a presentation on one of the properties on Rainier Avenue, 4111. For which we have Ms. Carthy Boston to give us a little brief description of exactly the work that they will be doing.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Carthy. I know you're here. The mic is yours. Let us know what the changes or alterations are going to be to the property. In the meantime, oh, thank you, Melly, for putting it in front. All right, go ahead. The floor is yours. Your mic is muted, Carthy, so we cannot hear you if you're speaking. Okay, we could hear you now.
Do you want me to, can I put my camera on?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. Sorry, I'm working off my cell phone. Yeah, it's Carthy Boston, 4111 Rainier Avenue. Property owner, if I think you have on the screen, the actual permit submitting. Let's see.
So
What you're saying, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, what alterations are going to be made?
Oh, alterations, pretty much it's renovation. It's taking out a current petition that divides the house into 2 sections. The old property owner actually did reconstructing renovation. There was an old permit in 2009, and there was an old permit in 2013, and that was pretty much a completion of the renovation plan. It's basically adding a second entrance downstairs that's already there to the front to have a rear entrance as well. And renovation of the kitchen and the living room and bathroom, adding bathrooms. Yeah, that's important.
Is everything internal renovation, or is there any external?
There's no external. It's the same print of the current house. There's no external at all. No external additions to the house. The same footprint remains. It took it took the county pretty much a year to get this plan up and running. And it was a project to get to this point, but there's no external external things happening besides upkeep. It's a matter of just, I would say, renovating the property to an extent to make it as nice as my neighbors.
Okay, perfect. So I might assume that there's no there was no need for us to go to design review board or anything like that because of restoration.
Not at all.
All right. All right, perfect. Luke, I'm gonna give you the mic because you usually give the whole spiel, those internal, to make sure that things are taken care of when it comes to bringing things in and out of the house. Go ahead, Luke, the floor is yours.
Yep. Hey, Carthy.
Hi there.
So just we say this to everyone. This is sort of like the commandments that Brian Nether used to give to everybody when they came before council, which is pretty easy stuff. You probably already know it. Just no construction before 8 a.m. No construction after 8 p.m. Since all the work's internal, you probably don't have to worry about moving dirt or clay or anything of that nature. If any of that has to happen around the foundation, just make sure, just be mindful of having the clay near the sidewalks or your driveway, because when it rains, that can create sort of storm water with clay in it that can go into neighbors' yards or out into the storm drains. So just be mindful of that. You don't need to worry about trees because you're not impacting any trees nearby because it's all internal. And I think that's it.
All righty. Anything else you need from me, or?
So I'm gonna leave a chance for the councilors to ask something, Carthy, and then it should be just so Danielle, since it's Ward 1, go ahead, I'll do you, and then Jared Valerie.
Yes, thanks. Congratulations, Carthy. I know you're excited to get some work done. It looks great, so I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jared?
Yep. No, just echo things Luke and Danielle said, and thanks for your work improving your house and our community. So that's it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Valerie?
Yeah, same. Thank you for investing in the house, and good luck with the renovations.
All right, perfect. So thank you, Carthy. We're not gonna keep you up because I know it's a long day for you as well.
And I'm on the road for work, so it's even harder. All right.
Oh my goodness. All right, perfect. If in doubt, if you have any questions, please reach out to Alma. I'm pretty sure she gave you everything we just gave you, but we usually ask people to come to the meeting to make sure, one, the residents know that this is something that's been pre-approved by us and also the county, right? So when they ask, we go like, yes, it is, and here it is, and we've seen it, right? So perfect. If you have any questions, I'm gonna be your person to direct, and she's very smooth to talk to. You already have that relationship, and you've been with us in the city for a long time, so you definitely know everything we need. All right. Have a good night and enjoy the rest remaining hours of your work because I know you work hard. All right. Thank you, Carthy. Take care.
You have a great night. Thank you all.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Take care. Bye. And thank you, Alma, as well. How do you call it out for always making sure we have the things that we need. Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one because I know our staff, especially our public works department, has had a long, long day. Rocio, I did saw you today, and I thank you personally for you and your team of how clean our streets are. And if you missed it, I did open the meeting saying that we are thankful to your team. Before you give your presentation, because it's very hard work to make sure you guys keep the roads safe and make sure that the trees and the branches and any emergency happens, UMPD work together to make things happen. So I'm going to give you the floor, and this is the discussion Public Works quarterly report from October to December. So we have Rocio Latorre, Director of Public Works with us. Hi, Rocio.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and residents. And thank you, Mayor, for mentioning that. I also do want to thank Mr. Kamali as well. He's always, available during this season as well. He was there last night as well, so I appreciate all the help he provides to the city. But yes, I'll promise to keep this short and concise. Just want to start off this quarter. The Department of Public Works is working on several projects. We're always trying to move forward with infrastructural projects and initiatives that will keep Mount Rainier a vibrant and vibrant community into the future. I'll briefly go through the slides of, what's been going on as far as updates on different grants, projects that we have. The first one is the CBT grant project, the Chesapeake Bay Trust. As you know, we applied for this grant to add more rain gardens in the city. We're looking to add 13 additional rain gardens. This is on Arundel Road between 30th and 25th Street. We did the invitation to bid for the CBT grant, which was released in October 25th of last year. And the city received 3 bid proposals: Grace Management and Construction, Kelly's Trucking LLC, and Professional Lawn Maintenance Services. Professional Lawn Maintenance Services has been awarded the contract to construct the stormwater control facilities in Mount Rainier, and we're working on finalizing those contracts and executing it in order for us to proceed. So that's where we're at with this particular project. Next, we have the crosswalk markings and street signs projects. Of course, during the season, it kind of gets hard to go out there and continue the curb painting. Recently, we stopped off at, we did most of Bunker Hill, but we're going to continue proceeding on 34th Street, some that's left on Bunker Hill, Rhode Island Avenue. We're going to be starting that close to the spring, probably sometime in the near future, because we are pretty much close to being done with the leaf. So we're going to jump in between that, continue the curb painting, because that's very important for us. And so that's where we're at with that. Our DNR Community Parks and Playground Program Grant. As you know, we were awarded through the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Community Parks and Playground Program Grant to revitalize the Frederick Richardson Memorial Park. That grant we were awarded in August of 2022. Right now, I am working on moving forward with the bid process. So I'm working on the RFP in order for us to proceed with that in February. So hopefully between then, we're going to look to get the design and construction going through that RFP and start that this year. Then we have our tree maintenance and plantings. So far for the fall winter maintenance, we did do some maintenance, which just consisted mostly of 15 right-of-way tree removals. We completed that in December 1st. We also submitted the applications for the Tree City USA 2023 and also the plant recertification of 2023. So those applications should have been submitted. And of course, we are hopeful that we continue our streak of getting those awarded every year. Just to bounce back on the tree maintenance, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Tree Commission. Our department is always grateful and thankful for all the help and guidance they provide to the department. They do a lot of the hard work when it comes to protecting our urban forestry. So I just want to say that we are thankful for them, for everything that they do. They do a lot of tree pruning, so it helps us on our maintenance side. So just want to give a shout out to them. Next, we have the waste collection. I did add something different on here. I separated the bulk collection. So as you can see, you'll see the last 4 quarters of the total tipping fee that we had. And then you will see our new quarter, which is for quarter 2 of FY24. The total tipping fee is $18,470.68. I have it, like I said, included the bulk collection separate. That way you can see how much difference it is between our regular collection and the bulk. Lastly, we have our miscellaneous projects. This basically breaks down all the miscellaneous things that the department does. Of course, my great team, we're so appreciative for them. Everything they do, street and sidewalk maintenance, leaf collection, which we started in November. As I mentioned, we're pretty much nearly done. Winter prep, which includes servicing the entire fleet, equipment, making sure those are always working properly, assisting. We also assisted with executing the delivery of the throne. That was delivered in November. Of course, we maintain, upkeep the maintenance of our municipal buildings, City Hall, Police Department, code compliance, by co-op, Public Works, library, etc. We also assisted Miss Valerie Woodall, and the community garden with contracting and getting that ramp installation done at the community garden for the PEPCO Sustainable Communities Grant Program. Rain garden litter pickup maintenance, holiday decorations, street pruning, street signs replacements. Of course, the city always assists with any events. The city hosts a lot of events throughout the year. Storm drain maintenance, alley maintenance, and of course, we had our electronic recycling, which was December 16th, and we only collected 1 pallet. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Rosie. I'm going to open it up to Council. I think that what I see missing already on it is like you guys also make sure through the years that we're not up to certification, that they follow every single step. So that way, when the recertification comes through, they're ready to go. And that includes the Sustainable Maryland. That's a big application that they work with other wonderful committees, I believe, the Train the Green Team, right? Yes. But they have to be on top to make sure that we're recertified. It's not just a paper for them to sign and go. It's like proving that this is what the city has done and the progress they're on it. So there's still like an ongoing, work that they do that you're going to have to add. That's number 15. But yeah, so be mindful of that. And how big is your team before I open it up to Council, Rocio?
Right now, it should be a department full of 10. Right now, I have 8 guys on the team.
Okay. Thank you so much. They make miracles. All right, so I'm gonna start with Valerie. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rocio. I know you, the Public Works Department is rocking and rolling and doing a really great job keeping our city clean, green, and like a machine. No, no, but I think you are. I really appreciate all the work you've done to keep the department doing a good job, and I really appreciate all the work that you've done. I don't have any questions at this point, but if I have questions, I'll let you know later on. Right now, I think I just want to praise you and your team, so thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that moving forward, you guys, we're going to probably get the 3 reports, get the 3 directors, do them, and then we'll do collective questions or comments, because Rocio, Kamali, and the whole team have been up since like the wee hours of today. Really wee hours, so we need to make sure we get them out as soon as possible. Okay, and Kamali's going to be here until the end, but at least the directors. All right, perfect. Go ahead, Danielle, Jared, Luke.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for your report, Rocio. I do have a couple of questions. One is just to understand the process, and the other is you mentioned about new crosswalk markings on Shepherd Street. The intersection of Bunker Hill and 35th, is that intersection included in that for the future?
No, right now we're not focusing on the crosswalks because we're waiting. Of course, that's the implementation on tool design is going to be designing those plans. But right now we're focusing on the curb repainting. We're trying to repaint a lot of the curbs that have faded. So that's our main focus going into the spring.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm clear. So when I get phone calls and emails, because I will, we're putting off doing that stuff there on Bunker Hill for the tool design redesign of that area, correct?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. And then my other question is literally just for education. I was reading your report, really good report too. Thank you, by the way. You had a couple of grants that were awarded in 2022. Can you explain to me why they're just now being sent out for RFP? Are there deadlines on these grants, or are these grants contingent on other things? This is just for bring me up to date with the process.
No problem. So as far as the CBT grant, or are you talking about the Frederick Richardson grant?
No, the Chesapeake Bay was the one that I was confused because both of them are about 1.5 years out from being awarded, but the Chesapeake Bay, yeah, let's go with that one. Are there deadlines on them, or what's the process on that?
Correct. So the deadline for that one was extended already. Okay. It was due in July, but we extended it until this spring because of the other projects that we had. We had the CBT for 30th and 33rd that we just finished. So we had to extend this one, and that's why it's taking us until this spring to get that one completed.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Jared and Luke.
Yep. No, just Rocio, thank you so much for all the work you're doing. A great job with a small but a really mighty team. And especially for, I got nothing but compliments on the snow removal and the speed and the clarity and the clearness of our streets today from folks. So thank you a million times over to you and the entire team and city staff, everyone that was involved in responding to weather events that we often don't know how it's going to turn out. So I don't have any. It's a fantastic update. Great to see projects moving forward and us executing on so many things. So I don't have any questions about the items here. I did probably want to suggest in I guess future reports, and this is nothing you should have had in yet. It might be helpful as I think folks will, as we move forward with the Safe Streets for All grant from USDOT. And I know for folks listening on the call, we're waiting on US Department of Transportation. They have a lot of processes and things that they got to initiate. We're waiting on them. They're not waiting on us. But I think folks might look to those projects being up as part of the report, kind of given that they're kind of public works capital efforts. So it might be helpful to have those, or just at least reference those at in future reports if helpful, or where appropriate. I'll defer to you and Mr. Kamali on how we should present those, but just want to make sure folks know to look for where updates on those will be.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, I mean, maybe add it to the report, Lucille, that we have a link in the website. It's a whole entire page that talks about every single project the city has and where we're at as well. That was added the last year in order to make sure that we'll communicate with residents even when you guys are not coming to the meetings. So, but thank you, Jared, for that. All right, Luke, go ahead.
Just Rosia, thank you so much for the work you do and that staff does. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of money that you're managing. It's a lot of projects that you're managing. And that's a lot to keep in the air at any one time. And so I just appreciate the work you do and the work that everyone on staff does. Just really cool to see all those projects happening and that we're doing more and we're keep building more and we're looking to the future. And how we can keep momentum going. And I think that's really cool. And I really like the charts on how we're spending money on the waste management. That's really helpful for me to understand better as we think about composting in the future, just to see those broken out the way you did. I really like that. And just thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you. Rocio, please extend our thank you to your whole entire team. I know that sometimes you guys don't hear enough of how grateful we are as a community to make sure you guys are out there, because when we're all home, just like the police department, you guys are out there making sure that if a tree falls or anything happens, right? It sounds like nobody hears it, but Public Work does hear it. And Mr. Kamali, you left big shoes to fill, and obviously Rocio has stood up to the task. The Public Works Department used to be a complete mess before you got here, Mr. Kamali, as Public Works Director, and you line it up, clean up, and I see like Rocio also expanding it and creating her own extension and beyond that. So it's been a very smooth transition. So thank you for that, Rocio, as well. Lastly, for Richardson Park, I should be going back to schools and ferries, so we should have like the final things that we need to do so that with the junior mayor's vote, and be done with that wonderful project we have for them. But that, Rocio, thank you so much. Also, the signs look great. You guys just do a lot of work. I think half of people don't realize how much work you do. For a very small team is definitely a mighty team. And thank you for making sure you guys have always been there for us. All right, so have a good night, Rocio.
Appreciate everyone. Thank you so much.
And just as a point of information, we just got a text saying that tomorrow there's going to be a 2-hour delay in the public schools. So the offices are going to start 2 hours late. So FYI, okay? So for residents, our parents, but also for our team. I know several of us have children, but also like our team adjusts certain things if need be. So it's a 2-hour delay for schools and offices tomorrow. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Moving.
Did you guys lose Selena?
Oop, I'm so sorry. I muted myself.
Sorry. Okay.
All right. So thank you, Jared. Ms. Cheryl Morris, Human Resources Director, is here with us tonight. Cheryl, the floor is yours. Go ahead and give us your report. It's good seeing you, Cheryl.
Good seeing you guys. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and residents. I feel like it's been a long time. since I've been before you, I want to first say, forgive me if I start coughing or hacking. I had something that started yesterday or sneezing. But I just wanted to give you some updates because it has been a while since I've been before you. One of the things I had spoken about just on milestone and activities was for the, listen, can you go to the next slide? Compliance training was something I wanted to get implemented. And at the last time I spoke before you, I believe I was working on getting the courses in there and getting the employees in the system, and that has happened. Employees have started taking the courses. And the next step for me in that area is to train the trainer, because there's so much more that the directors can put in for their employees that are more personalized. Yes, I did put in like harassment, discrimination, and some safety courses for like public works and code, but there's so much more that can be done. One of the other areas that I had wanted to start was a wellness program for the city employees. Michelle Stipe came to our employee engagement activity over the summer, and we connected. And I've been working with her ever since. So since then, we've had a welcome letter sent out to all the team. They're now getting newsletters, and I'm going to next implement an app if the employee wants to participate in that, where they can do challenges, they can get recipes, they can take health risk assessments, mental, physical, financial, anything that would benefit the overall wellness of the staff. A healthy staff does a better job. And then one of the other main things that was really exciting for me, that was putting the flexible spending plan in place over the summer, and I didn't get a chance to present it before you, so it's a task, but I worked with Benecon Legit to do that. So now anyone coming into the city, if they want, not mandatory, of course, can sign up for pre-tax dollars for their medical, dental, and vision, and set those dollars aside. I'm going to kind of combine the two slides in talking about the positions, because I know that we have been tasking to fill the police officer and police lieutenant positions. And Chief and I, and Mr. Kamali and I, we're always talking about what we can do to bring in more candidates, get more foot traffic to our website, as well as the sites that are connected to us. So I did find another site that's specifically targeted towards police officers. And so we're hoping in doing that will bring more traffic to us, as well as another site where a gentleman reached out to us and we thought it was a good idea, because what happened is we do the flyer, we set it up for what we're offering, and that flyer, it's called National Minority Update, takes them to our site and our open positions and all the things that we have to offer. So we're hoping that will bring some more, again, foot traffic to those two really hard to fill positions. As far as the CDL, Rosie and I did interviews multiple times. Second round interviews, I believe, are going to occur tomorrow, Mr. Kamali. So based on the selection of the two candidates, we will have the labor position filled, because Victor was promoted to program manager. So that's how that position became open originally. And then we did hire a code officer. So Alma has two new code compliance officers for her department. We did secure the collaboration with MML for the time to care, which was not going into effect in 2026, but we have to start preparing now. And because it's so dense, I call it a dense program, and requires so much. After sitting down with MML and the consultant and Mr. Kamali and going through everything, we felt that was the best choice for the city and the most cost-effective choice for the city. So that was the direction that we went in, because had we not, we would default to the state. Then we would be paying 15-month premium in advance for each employee, and it's very costly. So that's still on my, Melissa, going back to the first slide. Under Department Human Resources and yep, right there. Go to the second one, I'm sorry. Right there. So we did secure the collaboration. So now I'm just putting together some data and some census for MML and the benefit and actuary consulting firm that's working with us, or work all of the municipalities and counties or organizations that are partnering and part of the collaboration to get things going on our side, because their job is to help us with the RFP and make sure we're compliant in procurement. And that's our best. I feel so secure and safe doing this with them that we will have no problems with state, no problem with federal, no problem in any area. So, Melissa, can you go to the next slide? So I already spoke about the implementation for the learning and development system, and I'm doing it under Chesapeake. I had said I could do it under JIT or Chesapeake. I thought that Chesapeake had the best courses for the team, whereas the JIT is more police officer centered. But at the same time, I know we have employees that can't sit in front of a computer, like our public works team, and our code officers go out into the buildings and businesses. So we are still going to do in-person training, at least one this year on harassment discrimination. We're going to bring a representative in from the JIT as soon as I get an okay and date from the city manager to hold with the team. So everyone at least get that and maybe another training for compliance, as well as some separate training for the supervisors and the directors, because we do need training to improve, just to be better at everything that we do on our supervision, on our team building in every area. And I found the training source, they offer multiple classes. I did bring them in when I worked for the county prior to coming here. And they have done trainings with professional development training with supervisors with other municipalities. So I thought they may be a good direction to go. And Melissa, can you go to, okay, thank you so much. So I put on hold the revision for the employee manual. Well, I wanted to push back to FY25 and just reestablish a target date, mainly because it's just me, and then it's a lot to do in the HR department. And there's a lot of things that are now in compliance, which I'm really happy about, and that have been brought up to date, and now can be done quarterly, can be done annually. So the city has nothing to worry about, whether it's OSHA, whether it's IRS filing for Patient-Centered Care Act, whether it's real estate retirement, whether it's Medicare compliance, which is something they have to do annually. So I'm feeling really good on the compliance portion. We had a new one that came under the Consolidations Act that just came out for employers to do. It was in 2021 when they put it out, but in 2023 was when we needed to complete it. And that's the GAG attestation. And I won't go into details about that, but basically it's saying that if an employer provides medical or other benefits, we want to make sure that there's no, how do I want to say it? There's no crossing on where if we want to share information that we're compliant in that area of sharing information on medical, dental, vision, and things like that. So that just came into play. It's fairly new to me. I did complete it. I'm still trying to get a good grasp of understanding how the law works. But as far as the city is concerned in that area, I work with Benetton and Legit. We are compliant in that area, and that was completed in December. And we are now in preparation for the temp, because last fiscal year I asked for some dollars for a temp to bring the files into compliance. And next week I'll be meeting with the lead recruiter and the representative of Sparks. We settled on Sparks, Mr. Kamali and I. Once I presented everything, he okayed that. I thought they gave us the best budget for the best dollar based on Sparks and Randstad and Adecco. I think I had 3 or 4 that were presented last fiscal year, and I thought they gave us the best bang for our dollar and could get who we needed. So I'll be meeting with them next week to start sourcing and recruiting for a temporary employee to get the files in order, because that's really the one area that I still need to bring up to standard. But I tried to start it myself, but I have so much to do day to day and quarterly and annual things like that. I just don't have time to really focus on it, but we will get there and it will be done in this fiscal year. And I think
Is that it, Cheryl?
I spoke about the app and then that's it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for the work that you've been doing. I'm going to open it up to Council and Mr. Kamali as well. One of the things that, is very big for me is infrastructure, building it. And we knew when we hired Mr. Kamali, he's very good at infrastructure and building it. So this is like right exactly up your alley, Mr. Kamali, right? And making sure you support the team in getting that across. So thank you for that. And we look forward HR continue to be stronger. We managed to do the audits, and I know that HR and finance work very close together. So this is the other piece of the puzzle to make sure we get everything we need on our end. All right, Council, I'm gonna pass it through. It is 8:02. Be aware, like we said, the staff has been up quite a few long hours and quite a few more longer hours. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go with Luke with you first. Go ahead.
Sure. Cheryl, just thank you so much for coming on board. We just I don't know how else to say it, but when Selena and I first came on board here, HR was kind of all over the place, and since then we've had starts and fits and stops. Oh, we're getting it together, we're doing, and then we lose people, or we lose focus, just a testament to you and to Mr. Kamali's in leadership here, and your ability to just get things in order is great. And then you're not just getting it in orders, you can now click down into like the next thing. Okay, let's make sure everybody has flexible spending accounts available to them. And so I just love again how you're thinking about things, and you're making sure that, and all the work you do. And I know how this is in human resources. I've worked in human resources in the past, and I understand that employees don't necessarily see all the work that you're doing to make it so that the things that they expect should be happening are just happening. And they don't have to ask questions, and the benefits they have are just happening, and they just get them, and they don't realize all the hard work that goes into making sure that's a reality for them. And you're making that a reality for them. And so I just really appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you.
Very well said, Luke. Jared, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just would echo Selena's thoughts earlier and Luke's as well. We've been addressing a lot of physical capital projects within the city. And you and Mr. Kamali are doing a great job at addressing building a longer term sustain and addressing our human capital within the city. So thanks for all the work you're doing at helping hire, train, retain, and really help us build a sustainable and long-term and workforce, and helping grow and helping that workforce grow and learn and so on. So I just really wanted to thank you for all your works there too, at helping hire new staff, and also especially for the work you're doing on the helping hire our public safety and police officers and lieutenants. I know, I know this is particularly challenging, not because we're Mount Rainier or Prince George's County. It's police hiring has been a challenge for many departments across the country. Recruitment is kind of something that's a nationwide challenge, and I appreciate the proactive steps you're doing above and beyond to tap into different networks, different areas, and helping us fill these critical and important public safety positions in our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared. We're going to go Danielle Valerie.
Thank you. And thank you, Cheryl, for the report and all the work that you have and you continue to do. I do have a question about the police recruitment. How long, well, two questions. How long have these positions, have they been looking for these positions to get filled? And in your professional opinion, do you see, and thank you for looking for other boards to post the jobs on too, by the way, I really appreciate that. But do you see anything else that, you know, kind of like flags that, you know, says these, you know, could be improved this way or that way as far as recruitment? Because like Jared, you know, mentioned, recruitment is painful nationwide. You know, do you have any suggestions on things we could do to make ourselves look more desirable over the others? Just looking for your professional opinion there. Thank you.
And well, for me, in the next budget, hopefully the positions will be filled by then. I mean, to me, prayerfully they will be. And I failed to mention that we do have one police officer candidate that Chief had been looking at for some time, and we have a potential that would bring our number down from 3 to 2. But for me, maybe in the next budget, if there's money, you guys may consider a sign-on, because other municipalities are often offering. No, I know we can't do 10, 15, 20,000 like the county in those bigger locations, but even if it's like $2,500 or something, some type of incentive to get. I actually had a officer in Anne Arundel County at my church on Sunday. I was trying to recruit him from standing outside our church door. Like, would you be willing to come over to Mount Rainier and selling the benefits? And the first question he asked me is, what's the sign-on? You have a bonus. So I'm like, well, not at this time, but, you know, and I'm selling the other points, you know, about the benefits and the smallness of the city and the community relations and things like that. So that would be one area that may attract that I can think of at this time.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And how long have these positions been open? Do you know?
I believe the lieutenant position since the summer. I don't recall honestly the exact month, but I think Lieutenant Sims left in July, June or July, and the other officers, I would say one position was already open. It was, in other words, it was a position we were going to fill that rolled over. I believe Mr. Kamai, correct me if I'm wrong. And the other officer left in February. So it's been, and another officer just recently left. So I would say about 6 months, except for the one that was already we needed to fill, because we're really down to one position, and then 2 people left.
Okay, well, thank you, Cheryl. I do appreciate your input. Thank you.
All right, Valerie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Cheryl, thank you for producing this report. I know that there's a lot of work being done, and like Jarrett and Luke were saying, you know, building the human capital of our city is really important for the long run, and making sure that we have sustainable practices in place so that you know, when we go through audits and when we go for grants, that we have you know, everything in place from the employee side. So thank you for all of your work on this. Keep going, keep working at it. I know it's can be daunting. You're a department of one right now, right? So but I'm hoping and I'm looking forward to continuing to build the city. So thank you for all the work you're doing, and Mr. Kamali as well. So thank you for that leadership.
All right, perfect. Sure, I already gave you my praises and the great work you done when we started. But it's not least to say thank you once again for everything you do and get us where we need to be. I know you guys are out there, like, you know, trying to recruit, and there's a shortage overall of police officers everywhere. We do have cities near us that are offering a very big signage bonus, and there's still short officers. So it's not a matter of trying. So I want to make sure that that is put out there very clearly. Our team is out there, like Cheryl said, like recruiting even like outside the door of her church. There's no shame on the game, Cheryl. You get him here, right? But that gives you a sense of what it looks like, you know, but it's definitely very challenging, especially because we try to make sure that we recruit people that understand our community, you know, that understand who we are as a city, how important community is and community policing is. So there might be like 30 candidates, but doesn't mean they all fit in, and the team is doing everything in their power to make sure that is somebody that's going to add to the potential of this of the city, and not necessarily like subtract and get us into trouble in the long run. The other thing is, like, Cheryl, thank you as well, Mr. Kamali, and the directors as well, for making sure that you guys have also looked in. You know, I saw that Victor's name was on the list. Victor used to be part of Public Works Department for quite a bit, and now he's the assistant public works, right? So there's been a couple of them. I know Mr. Kamali also looked at Rocio and Alma when it came to move them up to directors and so on. So there has been upper mobility even within the city, and I think that that's in great reference to you, Mr. Kamali, share as well, right? And looking at what talent we have within to be able to promote and continue growing. So thank you for that as well, because that's important to mention, you know, that we look in-house, and if we can, then we look, you know, elsewhere to be able to fulfill those positions. So thank you both for the work that you do. And I know it's not easy, and just like, you know, public works, you know, it's a lot of you guys are unsung heroes when it comes to the great work this is done to make sure our team is, you know, has everything they needs, you know, and they have a place that, you know, that they're safe for them. So thank you for that, Cheryl. Okay, Mr. Kamali as well. Thank you for that. Again, you know, we hire you to help with infrastructure, not just for the streets and sidewalks, but also when it came to, like, you know, the city administrative side as well. So you have lived up to what we asked for you. And I know we're not very easy bosses, you know. we're very we could be very demanding and very specific. All right, so thank you for that. Okay, so Cheryl, have a great night. Okay, and I'll probably see you this week. Okay. All right, moving on to administrative service, and this is Miss Melissa Sam, who's also she does multiple. She's our clerk and administrative services, and our go-to person for many things. So Melissa, I guess you're reporting on the various titles you have today. The floor is yours, Melissa.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager, and residents. The second quarter report for the Administrative Services Department. So for that quarter, we had 6 meetings with 3 of the meeting minutes being approved. The other 3 will be approved in the February legislative meeting. We had 1 PIA request from Smart Procure on current staff employees' contact information. And for social media or organic reach, for Halloween parade and trunk or treat reel, we had 4.7K. For the 34th Street facade improvement, we had 990. For local restaurant opening during Memorial Streetscape construction, we had 760. So usually we do have the city calendar and news are updated daily as needed. For that quarter, we had the message for October and December. And so our next message will be in February. We had 2 media coverage in that period. We had one from DC News Now and one from Prince George's County CTV News. So the one from DC Now was on the endorsement of the PGCPS parent statement and call to action for the crossing guards. And then we had the coverage on the home repair program, that one from the Prince George's County CTV News. And events for that quarter, we had the Halloween parade and trunk or treat. We had Veterans Day ceremony and brunch, Thanksgiving basket distribution. We had the breakfast and photo with Santa, and we had the holiday basket distribution. And on the grant side for the department, we had a ribbon cutting for the Sustainable Maryland and PEPCO grant, which was $10,000 for the community garden. And for the Safe Street for All, we are awaiting the next steps from the U.S. Department of Transportation. For the Greens project, we received $59,000 reimbursement, and we received $10,330.34 for the CUPS grant. For departmental support, we assist with collecting payment for services for code compliance. And the Public Works Department, we also assist the city departments with any technical system issue, we also will assist committees or department if they want to, if they have a flyer or for any posting of information on social media. Also, Jared took photos for the MRTV event and miscellaneous project. We notarize documents. Jared usually work with Nauticon on any staff technical issues. We do translation, and we completed outstanding minutes for 2020. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. And to point out, a lot of things are happening simultaneously at the same time. There's times, the other thing, Melissa, before I open up the floor, thank you so much for the communication team, because I know when there's an emergency or prior to it, you guys are putting communication out, whether it's like important numbers or updates to the community. You guys have also been very key. So I know you guys are also kept up late last night as well and early this morning to make sure that information goes out so our resident knows what's going on in the city. All right, so council. I mean, Melissa's going to stay with us, but it is 8:16. We need to move on the agenda. All right, so go on, Valerie.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for all of your work. I mean, just in terms of communications alone, I think your department and what you've been doing is just phenomenal. I know that we've been putting out press releases, we've been seeing all kinds of social media posts. And so for that, I thank you. And I think, in terms of grants and all the work that you've done to support the events that we've had, I mean, there's just a lot that you've been doing. And so I really want to commend you for all the work you've done. And I think I'll stop there so we can move right along. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Jared?
Yeah, just I'll echo Valerie's thoughts. You have an incredible and broad portfolio with a lot of things going on, a lot of touch points with the community. Thank you for being so responsive, for the level and frequency and clarity and depth of communication. You're often one of the people that residents, interact with the most and see the most, and your staff as well. And so thank you for the work, getting the word out about what the city's doing, getting information out where needed, and just kind of handling. There's a lot of administrative stuff that sometimes behind the scenes, I know that's a huge lift, and thank you for that. That as well. So yeah, I have nothing else. Thank you for the update as usual, and for as always, all the great work you're doing.
Perfect. Thank you, Danielle. Luke?
Thank you. And Melissa, yeah, definitely. Thank you for everything you do. You're definitely a gem that we have there at City Hall. So you and your entire staff, and I do the grant writer and Jared and all of them, communications, you guys do a great job. I do have a couple of questions, but one I want to specifically ask tonight. I've gotten a lot of questions or comments from people in Ward 1 and a few in Ward 2 and myself about the message. A lot of people, myself included, haven't gotten it in months and even years. I think the last time I got one delivered to my mailbox was the addition when Valerie was sworn in the first time. So my question to you is, when was the last time the city did any kind of inquiry to see who all is and who all is not, or the effectability of the delivery of the message, to include how it's distributed, not just to the residents in the houses, but also the apartment complexes like Queenstown, Rainier 1 and 2, Queens Manor, Kaywood, etc. Because I know I've heard people say that in certain apartments they just stack them in the lobby and people can get them as they want. And the reason I'm focusing on this, the message, is because not everybody is online or gets the email, blast that Pink does, or on the many Facebook pages or the listserv. So people, have no other way of getting information except through the message. And I'm afraid that the effectiveness of the delivery, that there's a problem, the disconnect between the city and the actual mailboxes. I have a feeling it's in Hyattsville, but I'm just curious if you have any insight on the last time we've done any real feelers to see how effective the delivery is going with that.
Well, since I'm here, we never did that analysis because, we're under the impression that everybody's receiving the message. We haven't got word that, like, a set of residents not receiving the message. We were looking at the option of digital, but as you said, a lot of persons don't have access to computer. But that's something we could look into. And yes, we do put the messages at the apartment at the leasing offices. So we will drop it there on the impression that the residents could go to the office to get the message. But that's definitely something that we could look into to see if it's actually reaching the homes, because we're under the impression that they are reaching.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. If we can do something like that, it'd be great. But I appreciate it. And again, like I said, I think the disconnect is somewhere with the Hyattsville distribution. But I do know that there are a lot of people, definitely those on my street, haven't gotten it in probably a year or more. So thank you. And everything else, your report, fantastic. You guys, like I said, you're a barn burner, and we are really lucky to have you. So thank you, Melissa.
So Danielle, if somebody's not receiving something, they need to send it to the city. If not, it's mute. 1 and 2, there is a link in the city website that says if you're having problem with the mail, please let us know. And I personally have inquired with the various Congress and senators and so on to make sure they try to fix it. Unfortunately, it's still a big shortage when it comes to the mail carriers and so on. And we have gone to meetings as far as like, I used to go with Mayor Miles before that, and it's been a struggle, but they're still very short when it comes to mail personnel. So that is something that definitely was talked to when it comes to H&W, who does the printing and sends the stuff out, and they say they do everything they need to do. So in saying that, Melissa, do me a favor and share with the council member the link so that way she's aware where to go with her residents that are asking a question is. But if they're not asking the city, it could be a year. But if they're not reaching out to the city and saying this is a problem, then the city does not know that this is happening. All right. So Melly, can you take care of that, please?
Sure,
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Kamali, as well, for putting a great team together. Melly as well. Pink, Melissa, Gabby, Jared, Bill. I know you guys do a lot of work, and sometimes, like I said, going on in multiple things. They also make sure that they run our meetings. And sometimes people don't understand that even to put like a small, like, event such as, I'll give you an example, as my event, right? The Christmas photo, they have to be there hours before, not 1 or 2, sometimes even 3 hours before to set up everything. And even for these meetings, they have to do quite a bit of work to make sure to test everything that we're doing, agendas being put out, information and packages. So big thank you, Melissa, to the whole entire team for being out there and making sure they have information. When I have reached out, how do you call it? Oh, Luca, I'm so sorry. I need to talk to you. Melissa keeps me on check as well with time. That's part of her job. When I have meetings, I have like messages flashing up like, watch the time. Luke, I'll shut up so that way you could speak. My apology, Luke. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'll say what everybody else says, Melissa. You're doing a great job. Thank you. And just seeing everybody every quarter, it's just it brings me such warmth that the city is like operating, like things are happening, and we don't have to be all in our city manager's business because we know he's doing it, and we trust the people he's hired, and the people he's hired are doing good, and you're just doing, everybody's doing great with their program, and I just really appreciate that it's like happening. And then we get to see it, and the public gets to see it. They get to see what's happening every quarter for every department. It's just really great. I do have one question. I think if you go down like 4 slides to the organic touches, I think I may have asked this question last time you came out, but the organic reach, what does that mean? So like 34th Street facade improvements, 990 reached. What does that mean?
So for the organic reach is the times it reached that we don't actually pay any fee, like if we don't pay Facebook or anything. So it's just reach that we didn't pay for, but they counted like how many times people actually see the post.
Okay, so we know that somebody saw that post. It's not necessarily that they interacted with it. We know they saw it. A distinct user saw it. Gotcha. Yeah. And that's the social media and Facebook post. Okay, great. That was my only question. You're doing great. Thank you.
Perfect. And to echo back on Luke, yeah, I remember when our social media pages were there to say we had them. We definitely have worked very hard. Even the e-notifications, that was a wish we had, and the team delivers. So now it's like they're very on top of sending news and information and stuff like that. I know we had discussed before to like cut down on it, but on the newsletter and stuff like that to how many copies are printed, but then people cannot make up their mind whether they want it or not. And at the end of the day, it became more expensive and it sounded more like we're going to be sending anyways, right? Because there was a survey that was done, and even then that wasn't fully addressed. But thank you guys for your work, for reaching out. Yeah, so organic basically means that, Luke, that they posted on this many people have seen it. And remember, for a community that's like 8,500 people, the fact that, you know, something has seen that many, that includes children, right? It's quite a bit of people that have seen it, and also quite a few people are also resharing, and that does not count when it comes to the communication. So the staff has done very good in a couple things to like address this, right? They have the social media posts, right? They post things on the website so you could access whether you have social media or not, and also they e-notified as well, so that way you also have it in your email as well. So there's 3 ways for people to be able to get, because some people have said like, you know what, I don't like social media, but that's a way for them to also gather the information. And we also like co-share. So I know I co-share the things that they have, and the police department does too. So we do cross information as well. That's something that's been very key. But also we work with the schools, so the school also share our information. So the residents could either get it through like, you know, like the schools in that sense, whether it's like paper flyers or through Class Dojo, right, or the PTOs, right? And vice versa. So that's something good that they've done as well. And when it comes to like, let's say the schools, the same information to us, we put on the calendar in order to notify the residents of what else is going on. So that's another interaction they've been doing when it comes to the churches, when it comes to the schools and other organizations as well, including other cities if we could partner up with something. So that's multi-level way for them to address it. And eventually, you know, like the newsletter might become like an obsolete, but right now we're still working on making sure it gets there, and you know, and in multiple way people communicate with our city. So it's been a very big advancement. So thank you to the whole entire team for doing this. All right, and I see Kara, like, so we're gonna have to share. I don't know if she has it right now because she needs to be running the meeting. Okay. All right, so send us an email and I'll send you the link. Okay. All right. Okay, moving on to presentation. And Melly, I know you're one of the only directors that have to stay here through the night, so thank you. And I know you're the only director that has to listen to the to the session for the minutes again. So you definitely get to hear a lot of us through the weeks forward. Thank you for that, Melly. All right, so moving on to presentation discussion at Cat's Life in Rainier. Councilor Carr will have a presentation to add money to the budget to support the efforts of spaying and neutering feral cats in the city of Rainier. So we have, I saw right now. So Kelly, I know you're here. Who else is here? For like Karina's also here. And I have Laura here. All right, perfect. So go ahead, Kelly, the floor is yours.
It's not Kelly, I'm doing the presentation.
So, okay, then Danielle, do the presentation. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa, for sharing the screen with me. A Cat's Life Rescue is a 501c3 organization that was founded in 2019 by 2 local community members, one being Ward 1 resident Kelly Bevis, and I thank her for being here tonight. Since 2019, A Cat's Life Rescue has been able to TNR or trap, neuter, and release nearly 2,400 cats in the county and have adopted out nearly 1,250 to residents in Mount Rainier, other areas of the county, and even around the country. In 2022, A Cat's Life Rescue TNR'd over 700 homeless cats in Prince George's County alone, and in the first 3 quarters of 2023 had already exceeded the 2022 numbers. TNR is trap, neuter, and release. This is the process of humanely trapping feral cats, taking them to the vet to get spayed or neutered, get a couple of shots, and then return them to their kitty colonies where they can be back with their friends and family, but are no longer able to contribute to the increase in colony numbers. Traps are set out with food in them to lure in the hungry kitties. Once they enter the trap, the door safely closes behind them. I know this part of the process because A Cat's Life Rescue loaned me a trap to help a resident trap her cat that had gotten out last year. Happily, Pumpkin was caught and returned to her mom that very evening. When feral cats end up in the trap, they are taken to the vet who works with A Cat's Life Rescue to get fixed and then vaccinated for distemper and rabies. Afterwards, they are then returned to their colony and released, hence the term trap, neuter, and release. A Cats Life Rescue is asking for support from the city to help them with their continued efforts here in Mount Rainier. 501c3s, as you know, rely on donations to continue their work. Because of all the work there is to do here in Mount Rainier with our cat colonies, a Cats Life Rescue is asking the city to help them with this effort. An annual line item of $5,000 would provide for the trapping, spaying, neutering, and vaccinations for 60 cats here in the city. And you'll see here is a breakdown of the cost analysis that was provided to me by Kelly when she sent me the information. So about $200 to purchase 10 traps to use here in the city. $3,300 for 60 cats to get their surgeries, which is $55 per surgery. Distemper and rabies are $5 each. And then of course, you're gonna need some printing from materials for education purposes for the community. Since we are halfway through the fiscal year, I propose that we start supporting them now by giving them half. That's $2,500, which will allow them to TNR 30 cats. We can then establish a line item that will give them $5,000 for the coming year to TNR another 60 cats for a total of 90 cats by the June of next year. That is a significant number of cats in our community, of which I have no doubt there are a minimum of. By establishing this line item, we can make sure that the funds are there for them to continue this effort for years to come. A Cats Life Rescue does more than just TNR. They also help rehome cats from both the street and previous owners. After our beloved cat Dirk passed away in July this past year, we went through a period of serious grieving. We finally got to a point where we were open to becoming a foster family for a kid who was looking for their forever home and getting adopted. We didn't realize it until we got home, but Cowboy had found his forever home because it was love at first perk. Moo, as we now call him, has gained weight and has adjusted wonderfully to being a very spoiled kitty. So if you or anyone is in the market to adopt or even foster a cat, a Cats Life Rescue helps facilitate that as well. Now, many creatures live here in Mount Rainier between our trees and plants, single family home residents, apartment residents, family pets, feral cats, and even our beloved chickens. We do many things to improve the quality of life for our environment for the majority on that list. I do hope that others on council will agree with me that it is time to do a little something to help our feral feline residents as well. The ask is for a line item to be created for ACLR in the amount of $5,000. If council approves this, I will work on the resolution needed to create the support for this wonderful organization. Now, as a last minute change today, I would like to hand this over to Kelly Bevis to give a little extra history on how Cats Life Rescue is working with and in other local municipalities. Thank you.
Hi,
Thank
everyone.
you, Danielle. Hold on, Kelly.
Oh, sorry.
So I guess we're gonna make a little bit of exception. Kelly, I apologize. Usually, like if we have speakers, we let them speak first. So I'm gonna give the floor to you and then I'll go back to council for questions, okay? So
Okay,
go ahead.
thank you so much. So hi, everyone. I know most of the people here. My name is Kelly Bevis, and I'm the executive director and co-founder of A Cats Life Rescue. I want to first thank Danielle for her presentation and also for council for even considering this grant money. Danielle gave you an overview of our stats. We've in the past 4.5 years, it'll be 5 years in May that we've been around. We've really had some outstanding outcomes. Danielle mentioned our TNR and adoption numbers. We've also provided major medical care for over 100 cats. And for nights like tonight, when it's below freezing, we've constructed and distributed more than 300 shelters out in the county to keep cats warm. And in addition, with the TNR numbers in particular, with the trap, neuter, return, one thing to consider is, we've done more than 2,500 of them in this time period. But that also, a female cat can produce up to 100 kittens in her lifetime. So we're preventing thousands more cats being homeless and born on the streets of the county. So that's something that we are particularly proud of and is a huge part of our focus. We do believe in a comprehensive community approach to TNR, and we think that this grant money could go a long way in helping neutralize the cat overpopulation problem in Mount Rainier. We pride ourselves on working with individuals and businesses throughout the county, and we would provide that same comprehensive approach in the city if we're awarded this grant money in 2023. And we have our trapping coordinator, her name is Laura Del Colo. She's on here as well. And she worked primarily, we got a grant from the city of Colmar Manor last year and worked very closely with Mayor Castañas and their town administrator. It was a grant for $5,000, and we literally had volunteers going block to block to block to find out where the cats were, what needed to be done, how to approach the problem. And we were able to TNR 60 cats in Colmar Manor, which is substantially smaller than our community. And we believe that we have been able to neutralize the problem there. Sorry, I get really nervous public speaking, so apologize my shaky voice. Even Zoom.
You're doing fine. We can even notice, okay? You're doing fine.
But I just, again, want to stress that we are all volunteer. And me personally, you know, I am very heavily invested in this city. My wife and I are residents of the city. One of our board members, Kate Wall, is a resident of the city, and you know, we just want to you know, hopefully get this grant money to really like tackle this problem. It's something that I'm very passionate about. Obviously, I started a rescue to help with the issue. I don't know if Nikki is on here or not, but she's our co-founder. I don't believe that she is. But she also has just been instrumental in tackling this problem. We've done a lot of TNR in Mount Rainier already, and we just want to continue to do it in the future. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have. I know that everybody wants to get through this meeting and it's a long meeting, but if you have any questions, I'm happy, or Laura is happy to answer anything.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you for the work that you guys do. And you did outstanding. Had you not mentioned it, we wouldn't know any better. So I think you need to give yourself a lot more credit because you were.
It's not my favorite thing.
Yeah, trust me, some of us have to do it because it's part of the job, but you did outstanding.
Thanks.
All right, so Consul, I'm gonna go to you guys because I have I know the project, but I have a lot of questions about what we can and cannot do and what potentially could look like, because this is not just throw money on, it's a whole entire process when it comes to budget amendments and so on and figure out where we're gonna get the money, where we're gonna take the money away. Just call it what it is and put it into this if this is what we decide to do. So Kelly, bear with us as I talk to Consul and we figure out what questions they have and what potential could do, because we might be able to do it maybe through ARPA or to Rec Committee, one of them, but we have to figure out what more of less looks like and what the process looks like for us, okay?
Okay.
So just bear with us right now, okay? Absolutely. All right, Luke, I see your mic open, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Kelly, thank you. Danielle, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Obviously, we know the great work that this organization does. And a question on the $5,000, is it, if you were to get like, and this is going kind of, just to give you my rationale here, we've over the past couple of years used the ARPA funding that we received to give organizations money. And it's been nice because it isn't sort of a budget commitment out of our budget. We can sort of do our normal budgeting process. Sure. And then it gives us an opportunity as well, or I think will give us an opportunity with an organization like Gateway, with Joe's that has received money, with the schools that has received money, to see like, okay, what are they doing with it? How does it look? And then in the future, if we need to budget for things, it's sort of have that information and it makes the decisions easier. And so I'm just wondering, like, if like, it looks like when I'm looking at this slide here, like a $5,000 infusion would do good for not just for a while. In other words, like, I guess the question I'm trying to raise is would it be like getting the $5,000 at once with maybe no promise that it's going to be in future budget? Does it still do a lot of good work? Like,
so that's a great question. And there are a few things that I want to say. First of all, I do want to make a quick correction for the traps. I don't know, Danielle, maybe I sent you the wrong numbers, but for the traps, they're actually 10 traps costs $870. They're $87 each. I'm not sure. Again, I may have sent the wrong numbers, but that's just one thing. The second thing, Luke, to address your your question, I will tell you the funds that we received from Colmar Manor were ARPA funds. And, you know, again, being smaller, 60, TNRing 60 cats in Colmar Manor, that pretty much solved, like, it almost solved the whole problem, right? Okay. So would it do amazing work? Yes. Being able to TNR 60 cats in Mount Rainier would be amazing, because I mean, I know if you are on Facebook, you see every week somebody posts on the Facebook page like, hey, look, this cat appeared on my porch, and like that's another cat that we can get, you know, spayed or neutered, vaccinated, and you know, will it solve the whole problem? No, it will not, but it will go a long way. And being that we are all volunteer based and rely on donations and grants to do this work, it would be essentially a really, really nice supplement to continue the work. And you know, where we have grant money is where we're able to do the most work. Frankly, we get another grant from the state of Maryland. Their Department of Agriculture does a program like this. It's specifically for TNR, and it's allocated to different zip codes, and it's a whole grant process. But this is not one of the cities that for us that is covered by the grant. And Laura, our trapping coordinator, can speak to that if she wants to, as far as coverage for Mount Rainier with the grant, but with the MDA grant. But to answer, short answer to your question is that it would, $5,000 would not solve the whole problem, but it would be a huge dent, and it would allow us to use it as a supplement with our other money to be able to tackle the problem.
That's awesome. That's really, really helpful to hear that explanation. And I think that, you know, with ARPA, we can't give the money to, or I guess I forget how it works, but we have to be careful on not just handing it over to one organization. It's sort of like we sort of have to say this is for whatever, and organizations can apply. Right. And so that, and it's good to helpful to hear that Colmar Manor went that route. I think that's kind of where I'm leaning. And I think maybe, Mayor, I'll leave this up to you, but maybe Danielle needs to talk to our city attorney on what that might look like. But just appreciate this coming on board. And I think that's kind of where mine's heading at. You know, I know we're just at a work session, but that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you so much. I think legal's gonna have to get involved because of the surgery part. So that's where I feel like it might not be part of our budget, because then we might become liable. And this is where ARPA might be able to how do you call it, help, or you know, she might say like it might be used for X, Y, and Z, right, to supplement certain things. So that's something that we're gonna have to ask legal. All right, Valerie, Jared.
Yeah, thank you. So I just have a few questions. One, do we know how many feral cats are in Mount Rainier? How many colonies there are? Things like that, so you can make a, you know, based on numbers kind of discussion.
So off the top of our heads, no, we do not know the numbers, and that would be part of the outreach and going block to block essentially, and going through the apartment complexes and sort of assessing what we're dealing with. I can tell you just in 2022 alone, there was one house that had 13 cats. He was an amazing guy. I won't say his name, you know, for privacy, but he was over by the Chinese restaurant, and he was feeding by himself 13 cats that were all not fixed. And you know, you multiply that by $65, just that colony at his house is $845. So, and there was another litter down the street. So that would be part of what we would need to do on our end, is assess exactly sort of how extensive the problem is. And so we, in Colmar Manor, what we did is we printed out flyers with our information and just knocked on doors. We have, I will say, just a fantastic volunteer network. We have a Facebook group of over 100 volunteers, and people that aren't in the Facebook group. So it would just be, Valerie, it would essentially be, you know, an assessment on our part of going door to door and figuring it out.
Okay, thank you. And then you mentioned that you get state of Maryland grants. Do you also look at county grants at all? Does the county have any programs that support this work?
I am not sure about that. the one that we get is specifically from the state. I would have to check, or Laura, do you know the answer to that?
Karina, our grant.
Yeah,
Karina right now.
I'm the volunteer grants manager for ACLR, so you might interact with me a bit in this process, as well as Kelly. And the county in the past year or two has not. I believe a few years ago there was some, but it's been a while. It's a thing I would love to have happen again, but not recently.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valerie.
Perfect. Jared?
Yeah. Kelly and Danielle, thanks so much for coming in tonight. And Kelly, you're doing great. I understand the feeling. I get nervous, even being on every single council meeting still. So I appreciate you.
It would be bad on Zoom, but I still get the same anxiety. So
No, you're doing great. I just appreciate the work that Cats Life is doing. Reminds me, I probably have some stuff here in my basement that can bring over to donate still. So I've been a frequent contributor to Cats Life over the past couple of years. So I just want to thank you for the work you're doing for managing the conversation around feral cats in this community, which sometimes can get surprisingly elevated. And for the work you're doing here. I think I would that's kind of where my head is on this. We were talking about different funding opportunities, and ARPA funds are kind of the area where we have some degree of budget flexibility. I would, as your resident kind of federal fund gov dork here, those are federal funds. They do have a competitive procurement requirement, so there's kind of limitations in how we can directly make provide funds to certain targeted places. So in the past, and Luke alluded to this, we had some programs with our and this is more kind of a mayor and council and staff thought, in the past, when we were first provided ARPA funds, we did a number of kind of targeted community programs. They were competitive, they were grant or rebate programs to, business relief, and so forth, but they had an application process. And so I think, if we're going to do something with ARPA funds, those are federal funds. That requirements, that's not our decision. That's a federal and Congress decision. We should think about internally. I think, is there sort of a community organization grant thing, or there's a targeted areas? And I know the feral cat and the TNR work you've been doing is really critical. Do we want to do something in that area? So, that's more of a kind of a note to Danielle, just kind of thinking about how we can potentially support organizations like a Cat's Life, and other similar organizations, and sort of stay within the stay within the bounds of compliance. There's no sort of federal grant compliance. It's all or nothing. And I just say this not to kind of just to frame for folks listening about how the process we might have for making grants, and also the compliance piece, because as you know, the city basically accomplishes almost everything it does that's not an ongoing day-to-day thing with outside grants, and compliance is super important, because else we don't get resources from the state, like you've seen on the federal $10 million grant we just got. We got to make sure our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed going forward. So yeah, that'd be my input. And again, thanks, Kelly. I appreciate you coming out, you staying up so late.
Oh no, this has been really educational. I appreciate all of you so much. Many of you, have been supporters of the rescue over the years, and it's just so very much appreciated. We just think that this could, one of the ways we tied it in with the Colmar Manor grant is from a public health perspective, of, not having cat feces everywhere, and not like helping disease, spread the stopping of spreading of disease and not having people see injured and unfortunately killed cats on the street, things like that.
And sorry, Kelly, I know we just have a few minutes left
So
on
can
this
you guys
topic,
do
but
me
I
a
just
favor? If there's gonna be a switch of speaker, I need to grant the floor because we've been hearing 2 or 3 people speaking at the same
Oh,
time.
Selena, I'm so
And the
sorry.
staff,
That's
and the staff will,
Laura.
and the staff will mute everybody to make sure we don't have intersection. So Laura, you need the floor?
yes, please. I'm sorry
Go
about
ahead.
that. I just wanted to add a quick detail about Colmer Manor, since I organized it and basically walked every street of Colmer Manor. That not in addition to it being a benefit to the cats themselves, we actually had a very good relationship with the county the city admin, Greg, and every time he heard from his residents of a complaint, he directly emailed or called us, so we were able to respond to resident complaints. So while we don't intend to serve as a universal animal control, we actually were really able to respond quickly to a lot of the concerns and complaints of the residents in Colmer Manor. So it helps both the people and the cats, and we were really happy to be a part of that.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, is there anything else you need to say? I know you were wrapping it up before
No,
I move on
I
to
think
something.
we said everything, unless I know you said you had a few questions. So if you have anything, please, by all means.
So I will tell you that for me, we're gonna have to talk to legal to figure out what could be done or not. I think that Jared and Valerie and Luke all cover what the requirements are when it comes to on it. But I think that our first step, Mr. Kamal, will probably be legal to figure out what we can do or not when it comes to situation, mainly because of the surgery aspect, right? And what the funding could be used for. So that could be something that we need to address. There has to be an application that needs to be forward like we've done with everything else in order to make it into a competitive bid. I would say that for me right now, the next step is bringing it back to another work session so we could get some of these questions answer before we move forward with anything else, so that we get more of a sense of legal and everything else. So we definitely would not need you guys to be here, Kelly, because it's going to be more like a procedure thing.
Okay.
And we need to make sure it's not seen as we're favoring one group over another is being applied, right?
Absolutely.
But our consultant and Mr. Kamali usually work on the application, stuff like that. If we have any questions, they address it to us, right? And then the bid goes out. That's the same process we've done with the schools, right? They could come in and suggest something, right? But at the same time, we need to make sure that we follow the guidelines that Jerry very much put in. The reason why we're getting some of these bigger monies because it's seen that we've been able to handle big ticket items, and that we'll continue hiding, making sure that it's fine. So to me, I'll probably take another work session to figure out what we can and cannot do and what the next steps are. And then, we could move forward to deciding as a body whether or not initially will be like another work session, then legislative session for us to vote that this is the route we're gonna go, and then so on and so on. But I think right now we're still like more in the discovery area. And I will say that at this point, we'll have to pull you guys out of the process, because if you guys are going to be a group that's going to be applying, you cannot be consulting with us when it comes to the application process. We learned that very well and very early on when it comes to what we're supposed to do to make sure, because it might be the only ones that apply, but in the other process, we have people that applied, multiple people applying for the grant, right? In this X, and then, based on the various co-markers, we were able to award it, right? But it shows how they call it. There's a fair, and I'll finish my own sentence because time is up. It shows how they call it. There's a fair process. Okay. But thank you guys for being here, and have a wonderful night. Okay.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye. And as a part of disclaimer, I'll say this quickly, just to wrap it up. One of my cats was adopted from Life Cats Rescue, so I do need to say that for legal reasons. Making sure, and I'm also a big donor and helping to support anything they need as well. So I need to make sure that that's in the record, so later on I don't get myself in trouble. All right. Thank you guys so much. All right. Moving on to the next item number 10. Up right on time, right? ARPA discussion update number 34. The Mayor and Council will discuss. Sorry, guys, I need to make this a little bigger. The status of projects and consider ARPA funding for business assistance during construction. Vice Mayor Chesek will discuss ways the city is currently helping businesses during the construction on 3300 block of Rhode Island Avenue and Perry Street. with the proposal ARPA funding for business assistance during the construction. So Luke, I'm gonna move it to you so that it is 8:55. We're wrapping up close to the 2 hours market because we did start on time. So if you could give us a feedback where we're at and proposals that you mentioned in the line item. Go ahead. I know you
Sure.
love doing
Do you want
Go
me to
ahead.
pull up? Do you want me to pull up the ARPA, the Word document
Yeah, please.
first?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Give me a moment
Can you do
here.
screen share, Melissa, please?
I can pull up the is the last ARPA from June, Kamali?
Well,
Yes,
put it in
look.
screen and we'll be able to tell if something else is new or not.
Yeah,
Luke.
it should be sometimes in June.
Gotcha. Okay.
We haven't talked about it like the last 4 months.
No, it's May 16, look.
I think it might be June.
5/16.
I think it might be June 6th.
Okay, check it because
Let
I
me
have 5/16.
all right, I got it here. Let me pull this up and I think this is accurate. Okay, let me
The difference might be between us talking about it and Luke putting the document together and sending it out.
Yeah.
But go
Yeah.
ahead. All right. Luke.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of stuff's going on here. We've done a lot looking back on all this. Initially, for residents to understand, there were spending categories. We were limited in what we could spend money on. Later, the Department of Treasury expanded what we could spend money on. So these sort of spending categories here are kind of moot. They don't mean as much anymore, but they're still helpful to see sort of how we allocated money. Stormwater management was a big one. 33rd and Perry, you can walk down there and see the construction that's going on there. That's been a problem for residents for a long time. We incorporated into the Memorial Park, Rhode Island Avenue sort of project there. And so you'll see that cost estimate later. 31st and Perry, this is a project that we're still working on. Jarrett's been working with DC Department of Transportation. Mr. Kamali's been working with LID. And I think there's going to be a community meeting coming up there. That's a $79,000 cost to the city because we got $530,000 in grant money from the state. Okay, I'm going to go down to the other projects. Newton Street, 34th and 37th Street, $922,000. That is getting close to. We've seen those plans. The residents have seen those plans. We're getting close to construction there. Mitigation urban tree planting, $20,000. That's the tree commission. That's the trees that have been going out. And we've been getting the tree commission leading there. Moving to education, Thomas Stone and Mount Rainier Elementary each got 20 grand for expanding outdoor classrooms. And we allocated $50,000 to increase access to public resources for Hispanic or Latino populations. That grant went out for $86,000. And Joe's applied and got that grant for their programming there. We did small business assistance grant, originally 50,000, added 20,000 for a total of 70,000. And that was assisting businesses for lost revenue during COVID. Food security, initially we allocated $100,000. This is a program that mayor's been running with partnership with the city. We did a second round of $200,000 for $300,000 total. And a lot of this was spent during, when we were still kind of in the grind of COVID, really helped a lot of people. Rental relief, we're up to $55,000 in rental relief for utilities or back rent. To renters, $55,000 there. Richardson Park was $150,000, which was potentially lowered to only $44,000 if the governor's budget was approved, which I think it was. And so we can maybe go back and give ourselves some more money here, but not yet. Selena's saying not yet. We're not moving anything yet. Social worker, we allocated $120,000, $40,000 annually for 3 years for ARPA funding here. Vaccine incentives to try to get people to take the vaccine, $10,000. Bonuses for frontline workers. This is a big program for city employees who did a lot of work for residents during the it's the grind of the pandemic, like the really heart of it. $260,000 went to those employees. A program manager, we allocated $200,000 for a program manager. This position has remained unfilled, so that money we may be able to look at reallocating. ARPA consultant, this was a necessary position for us. It was $100,000 total, 30 grand over 3 years. And just a huge thank you to Thomas there for his help with us. Then the $1 million for the 3300 block of Rhode Island Avenue and the 3300 block of Perry, including the stormwater fixes we talked about before in Memorial Park. That project is underway. Potts Howell Welcome Center, that's $1 million there, and you can see that construction underway. So the city's used this money to really invest in the downtown. 3409 Rhode Island Avenue, that is the insurance building next to the library there, and we were able to upgrade the second floor with $45,000. The Melinda Miles budget was, we allocated $150,000 to rehab the Melinda Miles building. Sorry, Melinda Miles project. That was $150,000 we allocated to make that habitable. And thank God it is, because we've had to move staff into there while we've been doing construction for City Hall. Scholarship for students. This is another great project that Mayor Benitez has run. $63,000 in total, $21,000 annually for 3 years. Really allows us to give kind of hefty scholarships to students, which is great. Bike co-op fixing up $16,000. That's been really helpful to the bike co-op. Operation Arts Project, $5,000. That was the kind of like the little library thing that's near the bus turnaround. Police computers, $55,000. This is sort of money that came out of our budget talks last year. These items were kind of talked about in the budget, but we ended up pulling them from ARPA. Police computers, police uniforms, additional money for the bike co-op, additional money for streets and sidewalks, the throw-in bathroom that's in the city parking lot there in downtown. And then the final one is a program that Valerie had proposed with a city-based home repair program for $150,000. So we have allocated a total of $5.1 million, just over that, $5,114,500. And our remaining funds are $315,000, 500 there. So we still have money left to allocate. If we change the program manager job, we could have $200,000 more. And if we get that money for Richardson Park, we can have more money. And you know, maybe not. Selena's saying no. We either way, we would have some money from that program manager spot. It could go to Potts Hall. We still have funding there that's available. And then I have another proposal tonight. I'll pause there. I've said a lot. Mayor, how do you want to proceed?
Thank you, Luke, for keeping us on track on that. I think that you, Mr. Kamali, might have to fine tune a couple things and to put on the city-based home program. It's already accepting and awarding money already. So just make sure that is a note of that. Regarding Richardson Park, it's our only park in the city, and it's very expensive to get everything because even the small grant that we got will not cover half of it. So the plans that have been put together by the city manager and Rocio that were presented to us was for $250,000 for the full amount. And even that is like cutting what is not needed. And they're reviewing it finally to see if there's any more money we might need to like finalize that, because it is the only park in the city, and that might be a one and done because we do not see anything else. So 100,000 is not going to get us not even a slide. I mean, they're very expensive. And the junior mayors will tell you because they've been evaluating how much it costs. All right. So just FYI. So I will say like removing money from Richardson Park ain't happening. There's no way. All right. And saying that, Luke, I'm going to give the floor to you because you do have a proposal that you wanted to talk about. So go ahead and talk about it, and then I'll pass it to the city manager to fill in some of the stuff that we've been doing for the business. And then I'll open up to rest of mayor and council. So that way we get to flow. It is 9:05 and we have a couple of items. I think maybe like a couple of items on the agenda, but the floor is yours, Luke. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. So my proposal tonight is to allocate additional funding from from ARPA to provide business relief during construction. This is the construction on the 3300 block of Rhode Island Avenue. And we've been doing a lot of help. Mr. Kamali's been doing a lot of help with those businesses, just so everybody understands. We've been working with both Pennyroyal Station and Era Wine Bar throughout this project. We've been sharing with them the details. The plans for the park and the patios, there were changes made to accommodate both restaurants there to make sure that this project is going on as smoothly as it possibly can. Mr. Kamali's helped reach out to them about, tax payments. Can you pay them now? Do you need time later during this construction? Because if you go to the construction site, while it's very promising, in the short term, there are sort of negative impacts to the construction. So as you're driving by, you may not think the restaurants are open because of the fencing, while there's signage that says, yes, we're open, come on in. I think the overall look of the whole block being in construction can negatively impact businesses. But that's obviously just in the short term. And hopefully this construction we can get over with. I think in April is kind of the goal date, but Mr. Kamali she's nodding his head yes. So I think we're still on target for that. And in the long term, obviously this block is going to look a lot better, very much improved. The patio space, especially for Era, is going to be a lot better than they currently have. And Pennyroyal is going to be able to keep their patio space, just have a much more beautiful setting for it. So long term, obviously a big benefit. I think that there's anyways, let me get back to this slide for a second. Because of the short term negative, these businesses may experience profit loss. And I can't see all the faces now that I'm sharing screen, but I think Garrick, who is, there he is, he's coming in. Garrick is, who's just joining the Zoom. He's an owner of Pennyroyal Station, and he can talk more. I'll let him talk a few minutes just about the impact that construction's had on revenue loss in the short term. And so I think we need to be mindful of that. So on the next slide here, I think that these opportunities this creates sort of an opportunity for the city to maybe invest more in these businesses. We've already invested in the past. The city's economic incentive fund has been used by both these businesses. And I think this is another opportunity to just kind of weather any short-term revenue loss they may have from this construction. It ensures that these businesses that we have invested a lot in and have invested a lot, they've invested a lot into our community. We really keep that relationship going so that they can be here to reap the benefits of improved streetscapes. So the proposed solution is that businesses, to the extent that they have experienced revenue loss during construction, they could apply to the city for assistance. They would have to show that they would have to show that prior to construction, they'd have to show the city what their average revenue was prior to construction for the 12 months leading up to construction. Then they would figure out your average monthly revenue. And then they'd have to show us their average revenue each month during construction to see if there's any loss. And then they could apply to the city to kind of recoup some of that revenue loss. Now, the city does not have a ton of money available. And, we're obviously very mindful of increased costs for Potts Hall. So I think there needs to be a limit here. We can't obviously pay people, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I put a maximum there, a maximum of $30,000 if they hit that. If for some reason there's you need to have like a priority choosing. I don't know if there would be in this case because there's only two businesses there. But if you did have to have a priority, you could say whoever has the bigger percentage of income loss would have priority to these funds. And then finally, you'd have a commitment from the business that they do get this fund to remain on site for 6 months after construction, or they'd have to repay the city because, and this is similar to what the city does with other stuff. We can't just give business money and then it takes that money and leaves and invests elsewhere. So that's one of the caveats there. And the issue for discussion here is if folks are agree with this sort of proposal, where to fund it from. I think we fund it from ARPA. And I think it could have a limited cost. If Era and Pennyroyal both apply, it would be a maximum cost of $60,000. I think that money's there in ARPA. And I think it really would make it easy on us because we wouldn't have to do any sort of legislative work or budgeting or things like that. So I think ARPA makes it easy from that perspective. That's my proposal. And before I finish up, I just want to give some time and I'll stop share and give some time if Garrett's joined. I think it would be helpful for folks to kind of hear from Garrett just a couple minutes about the impact that maybe, if Garrett wants to speak, the impact that this has had on Penny Row Station.
So I don't, oh, I see Gary here. Gary, you could have the floor. Luke, you cannot assign floors, but go ahead, Gary. You could
Hello,
talk to us.
everyone. Sorry that I've been in and out of the meeting. Just trying to do service tonight in this cold winter evening. I do appreciate all of the help that Luke is trying to get the two restaurants over here. This has been very difficult time for us. The construction, we all know how construction goes. It's going to be longer than we all expected because, the original date for them to finish was the end of this month. And, they're not close to being finished. And patio season kind of got killed because, we knew that they were going to come out and survey the site and, had to put up the orange barriers around, but we didn't know that it would be something that would have to be up the entire time doing construction. So it's kind of a war zone. So people really don't know if we're open. We get calls all the time, like, are you guys still open for business? And it's rough. So any help would be greatly appreciated because there's definitely been a loss of revenue since the construction has started.
Thank you so much, Garrett.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna open up the floor to council. Luke, just a point of clarity, you're thinking up to 30,000 per business, or but anybody could apply for the money, not just those two businesses, correct? Because I see there's a third business that I think is planning on opening there as well.
So it would have to be a business inside that block that's been infected by the orange fencing that's impacted ingress and egress. So it wouldn't be open to businesses like across the street or someplace else. It would really be constrained to, you've got orange fencing around it that's hurt ingress and egress. And so it'd be limited to $30,000 per business.
So you have the yoga studio up, you have the two restaurants and the new business coming up. So it's 4 businesses, correct?
Well, the new business wouldn't have revenue from 12 months prior to construction to be able to apply.
How about the yoga place
And
upstairs?
The yoga place upstairs would be able to apply, yeah. So potential cost of $90,000.
Wait, you just said 60 and you just jumped to 90.
So I just jumped to 90 because I wasn't thinking of the yoga place. I had asked, yeah, Mr. Kamali and I will talk later because I asked him about that earlier, but we can talk later.
All right, so I'm gonna open up to council, and I do have a little questions and stuff like that, not just for now, but in the future, what it looks like for us when we have no more ARPA money. Okay, all right, Jared, I'm gonna give you the floor, followed by Danielle, then Valerie.
Yeah, Luke, thanks for bringing this item to council. Garrick, thank you for coming tonight and speaking and just kind of giving us some context to the dynamic. I think we have a lot of exciting projects going in the city. A lot of those are going to, again, the end output is going to result in much better public space, much more inviting space where you've probably seen doing a lot of work renovating various buildings at Potts Hall and things, facade improvements and so forth that are really important. I do realize that some of those have impacts and, because of the timelines of things like construction can have impacts longer than we foresaw. And I want you to know that I understand and sympathetic to those impacts. Directionally, I'm supportive of this. I just want to be mindful, and kind of Selena's probably going to hit this too, is that we have a variety of construction projects coming up in the city just because of the work that we're doing, and it's over time. I just when we do create some sort of impact, if we do end up creating some sort of like impact fund, if you will, I want to make sure that we're able to sustain efforts, efforts like this, if we have future projects that impact, future commercial or other establishments. So I think that's my main thought on here. I think we have, and just for context for people watching, ARPA was a one-off during COVID from Congress. It's a one-time formula allotment of money that we will never ever see again, probably in a generation. The political, winds lined up, but there will not be a moment like that again. So while we have some very limited amount of funds left, we don't have that necessarily going. We won't necessarily have that going. Well, that resource will not be there in the future. And so I just want to be mindful about, the support we need to think about as we embark on a lot of different construction activities, but also the precedent that we set for, businesses in town, institutions impacted as well. So that's where my head is right now. And I will cede the floor to one of my council colleagues.
Danielle, Valerie.
Thank you. Thank you, Garrett, for coming. As someone who was in the food service industry for the better part of 12 years of my youth, I know what it's like to live on those tips. And I know that if you don't have people walking through that door, you don't have even campers. There were nights I'd beg for campers, at least I'm going to get a tip. So I not only empathize with you, I personally sympathize with you and your employees. Luke, I like the idea for the purposes that I just said, because, not only is Penny Royal losing the money, the staff is losing their livelihood, their tip money. And so that is very, very important. So I support this. However, the part I don't support is pulling it from ARPA funds. This is an economic issue, and I think it should be economic monies that pay for it. I don't know what kind of money we have with the economic fund, and I'm talking basically off of the slide that you said on here, the economics incentive fund. I don't know what kind of money there is there, but this seems like an economic issue that may be able to be satisfied with economic money. If it does boil down that we have to pull it from ARPA for one reason or another, I'm open to that too, but I do believe that the city needs to do something to help them. I don't know what kind of discussions were held before all of this construction started, because I just came on council in May. So I don't know, Garrick, what kind of, expectations you were given by the city, or what kind of support you promises or whatever was there, what was or wasn't. But it took us forever to get Penny Royal here and open, and I don't want to see them go. So,
and can I just say that we plan on being here, our plan, and we're looking forward to the finished product. Like, we want to be in the back on Perry Street. We're looking forward to the new Memorial Park. We're actually going to do a new relaunch of the restaurant once the construction is over. To get everybody very excited about coming back to Mount Rainier again.
Awesome. But I still want to support, Penny Royal and Era there. This is a building, Luke and Selena, that was the year you guys came on council when McKeedy was there talking about bringing in all these businesses and booming that, building up and making it, a major thing. And I'd hate to see, us lose this just because of some construction. So Luke, I support you, and, I'll work and do what I can to support on how the money comes out, but I think it should come out of economic development. Thank you.
All right, Valerie.
Thank you, Luke, for bringing this up. And Garrick for being here and planning to stay here, not Rainier. I think it's, Penny Royal and Era Wine Bar are both very important institutions to the city. As we go forward, I think it's important to support as we can. I think I would probably prefer ARPA funds for this type of thing, but I want to be careful, because we are, this is a one-time funding source from the federal government, and I think that's important to recognize as well. I also would want to know more, I think, about what kind of funding has already been applied for to support this, these two restaurants. I think they've both applied for economic incentive funds before, and I'd like to see more about what the actual impact is. Maybe just to get some sense. And then I know, Mr. Kamali, you know, what more has the city done to help these businesses? I know there's free parking going on across the street, and you know, other ways that the city has actually provided a lot of support. So I just would want to hear more about that, I think, as well. But I generally would support this, and I think it's an important thing to make sure that businesses are able to stay open, especially in projects and you know, that we've kind of worked on as a city to build our infrastructure. And then that has had a negative impact. I think it's important to recognize that as well. So thank you for bringing this into the conversation, and I look forward to seeing more information.
Thank you so much, Valerie. All right, Mr. Kamali, before I speak, can I have you talk? So I think some of the questions were, have the business receive economic incentive fund? And I know the answer for that is like, yes. So Danielle, they will not be able to receive them again. They have to go through an FSC process, and that's basically how we get part of the $1 million incentive fund. And they both receive funding through that. And I think it's a one-time thing that they could do. They receive it early on. So Mr. Kamali, if you could talk about what it is that the city has been doing, any costs associated with it, how long has the project been on, and anything you could give us information, and then I'll go ahead and speak.
Well, as you all know, the project is started in late June, and we start communicating with both restaurants, and we've been having meetings with them. Then they did ask for some free signage. We provided signage to them. Then they asked me for free parking. We put all the parking, we made all the parking meter free from Circle to Eastern Avenue on both sides. We made the parking meter free on 33rd Street. Then Garrick reached out to me and asked for extension on the tax payment, which was due 6 months ago. I gave him an extension, and I've been in the close communication. I go there most of the time, talk to Aaron, to Garrick, to Michelle. And when I offered Michelle for the extension on the tax, on the property tax, she said, no, we don't need it. And I have not heard anything from the third business on the top, the yogurt business. And we try to do as much as, and I have talked to users, and I asked them to make sure that the businesses, the restaurants have access. And if we start working on one side, the other sides are open, and I see everything myself, but it's up to the council how they're gonna, reach out to them. That's all we have done so far, Mayor. And also, users is in a very good communication. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that once this project is
can I just say
So
that
Garrett, you
hold on.
cannot use the
sorry.
mic.
Excuse
So
me.
they're
Sorry.
wrapping up. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna need time for me to speak because time has run out. Okay, so
Okay.
I would like for city manager to finish speaking, and then how do you
Yeah.
call it? I'm gonna ask the council to have more time because I don't even have time allocated. I think wrap it up, Mr. Kamali, and then I'll ask the
Sure.
council for more time.
And also at the beginning of the project, we had different plan to cut the patio, the dining area that Penny Royal is using, and also Arrow Wine Bar. We had to revise the plan, and I think this project, one is complete, is gonna have their business is gonna be boosted because we're beautifying the area. We're taking care of the stormwater management. And because their basement always was flooded, now I guarantee you everything is gonna be different. And regarding the timeline, I just want to make sure that the project, right now we're talking to a different pavement designer. And if we could do something in this cold weather, the project is gonna be finished by February. Otherwise, we're gonna finish it in March. But it depends on the weather. And I'm sorry
to cut you off.
delay. All right,
I
thank you.
apologize for cutting. Wait, I apologize for cutting you off, but I need more time. And I was waiting for you to wrap it up. But can I have 5 more minutes on the clock, council?
Yeah, I'll move to add 8 more minutes.
I moved this, so you second.
Second. Yep, sorry.
Any discussion, objection, extension here, none. There's 5 minutes being added. I apologize for cutting you guys off, but I tried to be fair with everything, and that included, me not being able to speak until I got that extra time. All right, Mr. Kamali. So I think the last thing you mentioned was the fact that originally the plans had removed the patio on it, and the city had to redo them in order to accommodate the request that they had in order to make sure they used it. Both the patio for ERA as well as Penny Royal Station, it is city property. They just get a permit, but the city does not charge the building, in this case owner Mankiti, any rent for them to use their property neither. So I will tell you that like the whole economic development incentive fund is not going to be an option because they already applied for funds. And I think Ron could give us more of an analysis and he could report that back of how much money they got. But I know it was like more than 20,000 or at least 20,000 each to do on it. So, and they have to go through the whole entire process with FSC first. And it's very specific on what they could use the money from the incentive fund. So it's not just open for all, and that money was money that they didn't have to pay back to the city. It was given to the city, it was given to them as long as they stayed in business for X amount of time, so they didn't have to pay that money back. So that's something to say. So my whole thing, and Jared alluded to it, is like, what is the plan moving forward? Because to me, it's like giving $30,000 to each of the businesses. What it's going to look like when we do Penny's, what's it called, 34th Street? If we do any landscaping and construction in that stuff, are we going to give 30,000 to each of that 8, 9, 10 businesses? And where's the money going to come from? So that's some of the questions that I've been asked. And even this being the agenda, I'm already being asked from Rhode Island, are they going to get any money because they were work that they needed to be done, and how that money is going to be given to them? How can they go apply for that as well? So I think that we need to carefully think about what this looks like. The other thing is like,
Selena, you muted yourself.
Yeah, I did because my phone was ringing. Did the project start putting the orange fences starting in June, or when did it break ground? I can't remember right now. I know we had a ceremony and things like that.
I can't give you exact time, but because it was sometimes probably in July or August, because we were waiting for the county inspector to come and approve the job. So we can provide all the information if the council needed.
I think that for me, for the next step is be able to provide the information of the resources funding has already been given. The other thing is to point out is like, all the other cities around us and even around the state, because I do travel quite a bit and talk to the other mayors and councils. They do a lot for facade improvements and work like this. They do a 1-to-1 match. None of our businesses have been required a 1-to-1 match. The city is covering everything. The other thing is like they charge an application fee that's a percentage of what this program is. So let's say like if this, this project was like, $100,000, it'd be 10% of what that is like. So I want to make sure to point out that, I'd like to be clear that the city is providing all the funding for this project. Mankiti has not provided any funding as well. So everything's coming from the city stuff, whether it's like grant or ARPA matching funding. Nothing has been asked for the businesses to be able to provide when it comes to putting money up front. And it's standard practice for other places, and you could go as far as like Hayes, but not that far. When they apply for funding, or when there's like redevelopment funding or facade improvement funding, they have to match the amount. So the city not only has put the signs and put everything else, they're also putting the whole capital for this project to be completed, and as long and that include at least, we just signed the report, $1 million has already been assigned for this project from ARPA. So in saying that, I will ask for us to get a report. One has already been given. What does it looks like when the next steps are, Mr. Kamali? Because if this is going to be ideally finished by February, March, it sounds to me that that's where it's going to be. This is done, but also looking into what are the plans for the business that are already like asking, like, what about us when you guys did the facade improvement? What about the business on 34th Street? Because they're also asking, are they going to be able to qualify for this funding? So this has opened definitely a door of other business asking, how about me, that I had to readjust for whatever it was. And some of this, it might be quickly. This is like one of the longer projects, but my understanding is, and I wrap with this, because I'm running out of time, that we are thinking of doing extra work when it comes to other areas, including 34 and so on, with the 9.7 million that we're having. And if businesses and stuff are related, are we also offering them $30,000 each? And if not, we need to come out on why not? And after ARPA, where are we getting money for this? All right, so just food for thought, but I think that is the next step is going to be more information that we need to figure out in what way we could support and what can we do, right? That is feasible for us to do it. Okay. All right, and Garrett, thank you for being here as well.
No
All right.
problem.
All right, perfect. So Luke, work with Mr. Kamali on some of that information so that we're able to answer some of the questions to figure out how we're going to move forward. Okay.
Okay, I'll get something together and bring it back to the legislative session.
To the work session.
I think I'll put it on the legislative session, but we'll have the information.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to the presentation of the minutes. The clerk will present the minutes for the following on. This is not a voting. She's just going to present, well, it's in our package. December 5th, public meeting on safety and legislative meeting. December 19th, work session. January 2nd, legislative meeting. All right, so you guys have it. Submit information to Melissa. And thank you, Melly, for making sure we're on track with the minutes, okay? And item number 12, adjournment. Melissa, is there an events list on this agenda by any chances of anything that's coming up?
No, Mayor.
All right, perfect. So can I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Kamali, I see your hand up.
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to make sure that Mayor and Council know that tomorrow, again, we're going to have, I'm sorry, I have to announce a 2 hours delay due to the frigid weather. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kamali, and thank you for the wise decision to make sure our staff gets here safe. All right, perfect. All right. Is there a second for adjournment?
Second.
It's probably moving second. Any discussion? Objection, abstention, hearing none. This meeting comes to an end at 9:32. Have a good night, everybody. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll be in Annapolis this week because the budget might be coming in soon. So we'll figure out what it looks like for us because that's a little scary right now. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.